G'day. Day 5 on Lord Howe Island and the sky I've been waiting for. For the last 5 days, the sky's been blue. Very little clouds, which has been great for walking around the island and sightseeing and shooting some birds and boat trips around the island. But it hasn't been much good for landscape photography. It's one of the challenges in a beautiful place like this is to find some shots that are going to make a good landscape shot, not just a postcard shot. So this is a view that I've spotted while I've been walking around for the last few days. And in my eyes, it's a grey shot with the green of that seaweed shining out. So it's almost a black and white with that green of the seaweed and the yellow of the sand just curving up to those jagged rocks on the point. But I wanted some sky in the background that was going to do more than just be plain blue or maybe one or two little white fluffy clouds. And we finally got some grey clouds with some rain on the horizon. And that should make a much better shot. So I'm going to slow the shutter speed down using a 10-stop neutral density filter. I've also got a polarizer on there that it'll take some of the glare off the water and hopefully emphasize the lights and the darks in the sky. And I might have to put a neutral density graduated filter over to darken that sky a little bit as well. But we'll try a few shots and see what we get. Okay, that's one view then. I'm now going to try and get closer to those rocks and get some closer up shots with the sea and the sky in the background and hopefully get some of that lit up sky near the horizon with the rain coming down behind it as a bit of contrast to those grey rocks. It's going to be a bit of a challenge to find an angle. Might have to get my feet wet to get out into the sea, but I'll have a walk down there and show you what I get when I get there. I've come right down on the water's edge and I'm now just trying to shoot the rocks with that glowing sky in the background. Again, I'll switch to video here and show you what I'm looking at. It's mostly a black and white shot, but to get that line of green seaweed, I'm going to have to overexpose and then blend those shots back together, because the initial shot that I can see here, that you can see through the video, doesn't show that green very well at all. It's really just dropping into the dark shadows. So I'm going to bracket this, 1 stop, 2 stops, and maybe even 3 stops overexposed, and see how we go with that. So I've moved in closer again and taken some shots, again emphasising the curve of the beach leading up to these rocks, and taken some brackets again to get the green and emphasise the green in the algae by merging those shots. I did put there's a little piece of coral here in the sand right on the water's edge that you can see right there. And I put that in the shot to give it a little bit of foreground interest, but having taken the shots now, I think it's just a bit too small. So I'm going to get closer and drop the tripod down to make that much bigger in the shot. The tide is coming in as we're talking though, so this is going to be a little bit of a challenge, not to get too wet, but I don't mind getting my feet wet. But with the tripod legs in soft sand, you really have to jam it down, because as waves wash in, they undercut the feet of the tripod, and the tripod sinks. And if you're doing a slow exposure and bracketing, then it mucks up the shot. But I'll give it a go and see what we can get. So one last angle, getting right up close to these rocks now, and just emphasising that leading line, the line that goes from these big rocks in the foreground through to the medium-sized rocks in the midground, and then out to those little rock islands going out to the left-hand side. I'm going to take a few angles on these just to see which ones work. I think this is the right one because I can get separation of the foreground rocks from that first big rock island out on the left-hand side. If I move further to the right, I'm going to lose that separation and it just won't have the same emphasis. And one last view here before I head back, as I think the rain is getting closer. But I'm going to try and emphasise here the rocks in that right foreground, the green of the algae on the rocks in the midground, and then a cute little piece of perspective and angle with that little rock island viewable through this window in the midground rocks. And then the rocks, rock islands out to the left, and the nice little bit of glowing cloud in the sky out there on the left as well. So we'll take some brackets on this one again and see what we get. So while we're getting the last few exposures here, can't beat this view, can you? It's just astonishing. These mountains, 800 metres high, 700 and something metres high, beautiful lagoon with a coral reef out here. You can just hear the waves in the background and these little lapping waves up here. Paradise. I'm just sorry that we can't spend longer here. It would be great to come here and do a landscape specific course, but the challenge with a place like this is because it is so postcard picture perfect, you get sucked in to the big picture views like this, particularly when it's bright sunshine and blue sky and the white fluffy clouds. But the real challenge is to find some nice intimate landscape shots that emphasise line and emphasise colour, enabling you to create an image rather than just taking an image of a really beautiful place. But if you want to come somewhere and just relax and do nothing for a while, Lord Howe Island is the place. Fantastic. So thanks for joining me on another episode. Hope to catch up with you again soon. Bye. Just when you think you're finished, this happens. So I'm going to take some more shots here and then head back. Unbelievable.